If you're beginning in BMS or thinking about doing so, bravo Zulu. If you're thinking about doing so in an easy manner, sorry to tell you, but there's no such a thing. BMS requires a lot of study. It will take you a lot of reading, studying, dedication, and time. Just as it's taking me, as I have to remember things and I'm studying everything all over again. A good way to start is getting to the BMS training manual and use it as a guide to go through the training missions, as they provide sort of a step-by-step learning process. So that's what we're gonna do today, or sort of. I mean, I'll do that, but adding some new steps while removing some existing steps through the process. Follow me and find it out. Weapon safe. Salute and welcome to the Fighter Driver channel. I'm Gabriel Oliveira, the Fighter Driver, and today we'll go through the BMS training mission number 1, or sort of. I say sort of because as my focus here will be the F-16CM-50, I won't follow that mission exactly as it is, but instead I'll create a new mission using the tactical engagement editor, replicating most of the steps, but adapting some of them to the purpose I want to achieve here. That's because we don't need to learn everything at once and get tasks saturated, so I'll focus in learning how to fly the F-16 as an airplane first and as a weapons system later. So now I'll focus only on the systems needed to just fly the F-16 as an airplane in the first moment. So my goal today is being able to go through a cold start, taxi, takeoff, fly a short circuit over the airbase, and finally land the plane using only the extremely needed systems to get this mission done and avoiding task saturation. We'll follow the script provided by the BMS training manual, mission number 1, Ground Ops, found on page 10 as a starting point. Just like the manual says, it's important that you have a general idea of the cockpit arrangement, its consoles, panels, systems, and subsystems. Page 11 brings you the general Block 50/52 cockpit layout, but you can also find those cockpit layouts as high-size, high-resolution pictures in the docs folder. Good way to get acquainted with the cockpit layout and the aircraft systems and even practice the cold ramp start procedures is following them through those layouts before getting to the 3D world, so you can take your time to look around and find whatever you have to. That's exactly what I will do, so only after getting some agility to locate things and simulate the procedures, actions, and checks will I go to the 3D cockpit and try it for real. I also strongly recommend that by now you also read the F-16 manual number 1, okay, the famous -1 BMS, as it covers in detail all the aircraft systems responsible for making it fly and communicate. In the manual section of the Falcon BMS wiki website, there's also a very good interactive cockpit layout diagram. It's very good because it shows you the panels and it points you where to find the relevant theoretical information you must study in the -1 BMS manual, okay?
BFT-1, lock leader. Leader past the line now, 18 miles, angle 29. Roger, they're south of the line.
Finally, for this mission, we'll also need the kneeboard checklist book, okay? So let's take a look at the cockpit and identify what's needed for accomplishing our mission today. On the left console, we're gonna use the test panel, the flight control panel, manual trim panel, the canopy jettison handler, the fuel panel, the CN9 knob in the IFF panel, the exterior lighting panel, the EP2 panel, the electrical panel, the engine and jet start panel, the Audio 1 and Audio 2 panels, the UHF backup panel, and the manual pitch override switch. On the left cockpit wall, we're gonna use the canopy motor switch so we can open and close the canopy, and the canopy motor switch guard or spider, which is responsible for locking the cockpit in the closed position. On the left auxiliary console, everything but the CBMS panel, the HMCS panel, and the threat warning auxiliary panel. On the main console, everything but the alternative release button, the laser arm switch, the IFF identification button, the ECM lights, and the threat warning prime panel, and the azimuth indicator display. On the right auxiliary console, we're gonna use everything. On the right console, the lighting panel, the air conditioning panel, the anti-ice switch, the avionics power panel except the map and the data link switches, and the oxygen regulator panel. Now, we read all the Mission 1 script and instructions carefully, checking every step and system mentioned there that's on the list we've just made and cross-check them on our layout. Special attention must be given to page 14, section 1.4, warning, caution lights and pilot fault system. We must be prepared for it. Once you're read and understood everything, it's time to proceed to the simulated checklist and ramp start using the layout picture and the kneeboard checklist. Okay, starting from page 10. Attention to procedures preceded by aircraft and or engine codes as they are specific and must be followed according to the aircraft version you are operating. In my case, the Block CM-50, so I must follow the code C, okay, for the F-16C, and GE-129 for the General Electric F-110 129, which is the engine we use in this aircraft's version here. Some panels are going to be different from the layouts we have, as the CM-50 had some systems and instruments modernized, where some existing panels are going to be in different places, as the oxygen regulator panel. Execute those checklists over and over until you get acquainted with them enough to do them without the need to check the list very often. When you feel comfortable to do it with relatively ease, go to the 3D cockpit. And there we go! Once inside the 3D cockpit, you must start working on your checklists and procedures, as the time for your departure is 20 minutes from now. Sometimes it's hard to look down inside the cockpit and stabilize the view with open track. I believe it's better when one has a track IR clip, but with just the camera, when you move your head down, it gets unstable. If anyone knows how to make it better, please leave it in a comment. It will be very helpful. Right now, I'm making miracles running BMS in a far from powerful enough laptop. Maybe in the future I will be able to get a new sim rig with a decent track IR or who knows, a VR headset. Meanwhile, if you face the same problem when looking down to the panels, you can use the snap view mode, which emulates a 2D view of the cockpit, by pressing number 2 on your keyboard and using left shift plus numpad 2, 4, 6 and 8 to move your head around. To get back to the 3D cockpit, press 3 on your keyboard. While we do our before start check, I want to thank you all who have subscribed to the channel and have been following us so far. You are 185 subs now. And thank you all who are watching this video. I really hope it can be helpful to you somehow. I'm a total noob here and I have no intention to teach anything. I'm far from being able to do so. But maybe by sharing how my experience relearning BMS is going so far, you can find something that works for you and we can help one another. That's my intention after all. And if you like it, you can help me by hitting the like button, sharing this video with everyone you know who likes air combat sims, and leaving your comments. Also consider subscribing to the channel to keep following this journey with us. Our meta is reaching 500 subs until August 11th, as it's gonna be the channel's 2nd anniversary. And if you help me getting there, I will bring a surprise for you. And if you want to fly and fight with us, you can join us in our server on Discord and also follow us on Instagram. Links in this video's description, or you can use the QR codes on screen.
Warning. Jammer. Counter. Cap. Flare. Low. Out. Block. IFF. Caution. Bingo. Data. Pull up. Altitude. Warning. Jam.
As you could see, I'm still making some mistakes and taking too long because I haven't memorized everything. But as you do it over and over, those procedures tend to become more and more natural. Believe me, it was way worse during my first attempts. With time, they will just become second nature. That we have everything set, we'll ask for clearance to take off.
Banshee 6, Singleton, F-16s, request taxi. Good morning, Banshee 6, you are number 1 for departure. Taxi, Papa, Echo, and hold short, runway 18.
After clearance from the ground control, we'll switch to UHF channel 3 and contact the tower.
Banshee 6-1, contact tower for takeoff. Switch to 29230. Banshee 6, Singleton, F-16s, ready for departure.
Banshee 6, clearance on tower, wing 140 at 7 knots, runway 18. You are cleared for takeoff.
Once in the air, the tower will guide us to contact the departure control. As soon as they do it, we'll change the UHF radio to channel 4 and inform departure control that we're airborne.
Banshee 6-1, contact departure.
So the departure control will possibly give us some departure coordinates, but generally it's just to resume your navigation.
Banshee 6, airborne, Singleton, F-16s, 3000. Banshee 6, bonus time, departure, fly heading 090, resume on navigation.
We'll discuss the taxi and departure patterns in detail in the next video. After I set my course to steer point 1 and stabilize, I will use the UFC controls to select steer point 5, as I want to start my approach for landing from the north and use this steer point as a reference. If the wind doesn't change, we'll land bearing 180 just as we took off. We're at about 15 miles from the runway threshold 18, so now we'll start preparing for landing. We'll contact approach and request an unrestricted approach for landing, as we're more or less aligned with the runway and the visibility is excellent, so there's no need for vectors.
Banshee 6-1, F-16, 15 miles, north 3000, inbound for free landing. Good morning, Banshee 6-1, Unison approach, continue inbound, a straight in approach, runway 18. QH2 991.
Turn left and the runway is right there. We'll use the steer point 5 marker as a reference for a better alignment. We'll also start a very smooth descent, waiting for the approach to instruct us to contact the tower in channel 3.
Banshee 6-1, contact tower for landing, switch to 29230.
And there it is, contact tower in UHF frequency 292.30, which is the preset in our system as channel 3. Now we'll set the landing gear down and open the speed brakes, so the aircraft will respond smoother to throttle and control inputs, and we'll be able to control our descent better.
Banshee 6-1, F-16 inbound for landing.
Banshee 6-1, Kunsan Tower, continue inbound for runway 18, report on final.
We asked the tower for clearance to land, and clearance was given to continue inbound. It was also requested us to declare when we're on final. We'll continue our descent on a 2-degree glide slope and start turning right for the final approach. As soon as we're aligned and ready for the final, we'll declare it.
Banshee 6-1, on final.
Banshee 6-1, Kunsan Tower, continue inbound for runway 18.
The tower cleared us to continue inbound, and now we'll start monitoring our glide slope and align it with the runway threshold. There is a 2.5 degree marker and an altitude bracket in our HUD, So we'll position the flight path marker slightly above those and control our descent by controlling the power, making small adjustments as we get closer.
Banshee 6-1, clearance on tower, wing 140 at 7 knots, runway 18, cleared for landing, check gear down.
The tower cleared us for final approach and touchdown. They also instructed us to check the gear down. So now we'll keep approaching, controlling the attitude and power to keep on the glide slope. Flight path marker on the 2.5 degree glide slope marker slightly above the threshold, power to control the descent and vertical velocity. I'm a little low, but we can have a good and smooth landing anyways, so we keep going. Execute the flare. And touchdown, we're back home. We'll keep the nose up for aero braking, and once the gravity pulls the nose gear down, we can start using the wheel brakes. Finally, we'll change the radio to channel 2 and ask the ground control for clearance to taxi back to ramp.
Banshee 6-1, request taxi back.
Banshee 6-1, taxi back to the ramp. Welcome back.
In the next video, we'll talk about the taxi, departure, and landing patterns. We'll also talk about the different instruments and techniques we can use to take off, navigate, and land in different scenarios and weather conditions. And that's all for today, folks. Make sure you hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel in order to keep following this journey with us. Leave a comment sharing your experiences, thoughts, and suggestions. Don't forget to activate the notifications bell to be notified every time there is a new video here on the channel. You can also join our server on Discord to fly with us and follow us on Instagram. I appreciate you who followed me so far. Salute, and I see you on the next mission.